So we're going to talk a little bit about the hamstring. It's a common injury in the yoga practice of strain or muscle tear near the insertion up the sitting bone. It's a very mysterious, kind of challenging problem. It lasts a long time. It's hard to heal. And so just going to give you some ideas about how to avoid that happening and what to do if you already have it. Making a study of how you use your legs in every position is helpful. So in standing postures, and generally the person that's more flexible is more susceptible to it, and that a person that's prone to kind of hyperextending the leg. And so partly what you're working to do is create resistance to straightening the leg. As part of the mystery of this, some people get relief just by bending the knee. And that is logical because it just takes pressure off of the leg, okay? But some don't. If it does bring relief, well, then that's one way you can work with it, is just bend your knees. But if you're bending them, you're also exploring going towards straightening. So you're looking for the maximum straightness of the leg if the posture is calling for a straight leg, okay? But you also don't want to keep straining or injuring that. So you can find that. But also, the person that gets that injury, they'll tend to push the knee back when they go to straighten the leg, and that can shut off the quadricep, so it can make it not engage. All right, and so your job is then in straightening the leg is to think of lengthening the leg to get it straight. So you don't push the knee back. In fact, you create resistance from the top of the calf. You lengthen the leg. And just by the fact that the leg gets longer, it starts to straighten. Okay, so it's a very different quality than if you push the knee down. Okay, so let's review that. Resist it's actually you engage this tibialis muscle, the muscle in front of the shin, and that pulls the leg forward as you work to lengthen it. And then that will end up straightening it, okay? And then the other thing is you ground the thigh, near the top of the thigh. So instead of pushing the knee back, you're trying to access your thigh bone and lodge it deeper into the leg. Okay, so it takes quite a study to do that. And one way you can work on it is to wedge a block there so that it provides that calf resistance for you. And then come into your pose, just take that for now, and push that, push down on that, keep the arm straight, yeah, and just put this arm down for the minute. Okay, now, so you are pushing your calf into that block strongly. How is that on your leg?
Fine.
Okay, but what you want to feel is that your leg provides that resistance that the block is providing. Okay, and you're working to think of the whole shape along the leg as you straighten it. So it becomes a whole meditation on itself. How do I straighten my leg? And you have to do it judiciously along the whole chain, from the ankle, through the shin, through the knee, through the thigh bone, into the hip. And then you remove that block and you work to provide that resistance yourself. Okay, and so it's very different than actively bending your knee, right? You are trying to straighten your leg against resistance. Okay, and so if you do have the injury, one thing you can do is tie a belt right up near the insertion and practice with that. And you have to make it quite snug, almost just short of cutting off circulation. Okay, so it's quite snug, and then wrap the belt around and around. And of course, you don't want to cut off the circulation, but you also don't want it loose because it won't really do its job. And then you tuck the end in when you come to the end. One way to work with this injury, which is you just don't go as low when you forward bend. And that's a good strategy. But you want to even go further than that. You want to value every stage of forward bending before down. Okay, so there's so much work that you can do without ever doing a forward bend in any seated forward bend. Okay, and so like right here, and the leg study that we opened up when we were looking at triangle pose, now you make it here, and you've got the floor underneath you to help you. You're lengthening the leg to straighten it, and you're resisting from the top of the calf. Okay, and an example of not resisting from the top of the calf would be if your heels lift off. Okay, so you don't want the heel to lift off. In fact, you want to stamp down through the heel, find that resistance from your calf, lengthen your leg, and get into your thigh, ground your thigh. Okay, so you make a deep study of your foundation of that position as a way of healing that hamstring injury. And it's tiring, right? You get good work like this. So a flexible person will be able to really tip the pelvis forward when they're going into a forward bend. And so you actually want to value neutral at every stage. So this, see, look at how forward the pelvis is tipped. I call it like blooming, the buttocks bloom like dahlias in springtime. Okay, and the ribs are this way. Okay, and so that is a dangerous position for your hamstring, especially at the insertion. And so you have to make sure that you have there's a modesty there where the buttocks bloom, but there's also a kind of downward aspect that values neutral. When you're in your Dandasana, go ahead and take the arms. Yes. So you're thinking of the 3 pelvic possibilities: neutral, forward tilt, backward tilt. And you are valuing neutral. Okay, and so and valuing neutral, especially if you can forward tilt, protects your hamstring at the insertion. Okay, and then you can start going through the points of the compass. So come part the way forward and feel what's happening in that insertion. You could work with the arms outstretched, or you could catch your feet like that and value this position. Okay, so there's so many directions you can work on a forward bend without fully folding forward. It becomes very tiring and potentially even stressful on the hamstring to leave your head up in the air. Okay, so that would warrant taking your head down to some support without losing your grounding actions through your thighs, and you're pulling on your hands with your fingers. So you keep your limbs active, and yet there's a releasing quality. It doesn't matter how high you are. So that if you were up higher than this, well, then you might get 2 blocks, or even a chair seat is a good option. There's so many ways that you can explore working with this injury, and variety is partially key in it. So like here, you've got the chair at the wall with a little pad over the chair seat, and then you could come forward and you could catch the chair back and weight your head and work. And so what's nice about this position is the ability to really extend the leg and ground it, and then explore the length of the spine at the same time as starting to come forward. And so you'll have to find your individual limit, like how low can I actually go safely without straining. Okay, so you could also not catch the chair brace. You could really, when you take your hand on your foot, you make very strong contact there. Yes. And the very act of, her posture completely changed when she did that. And getting your arms to contribute takes pressure off of that hamstring spot. So that's one thing you're trying to do, is use your legs and arms very well throughout the whole chain of joints, and consciously take energy and emphasis out of that hamstring area. On another video, I have information about grounding your feet at the wall and grounding your femur. And you can use the same device for working with this hamstring injury. So, and it's all the same as what we've been talking about, like reach your arms up to vertical and keep the gaze down the front of the body and value this. So stamp your feet into the wall, spread the toes, plant the ball of the foot and heel against the wall, lengthen the leg to straighten it. So you're studying how I use my leg. What is my leg gesture in every pose, and working to make intelligent action happen throughout the leg so that this part of your body, it gets, the more parts of your body are involved in your posture, and then the way that you're oriented will change, and then you won't strain that area. Okay, and then reach through the arms. And the foot at the wall really helps you to make a study of that leg. Okay, and so remember, it takes suspending, valuing, being deep in a forward bend, and studying all the phases that build up to that. So here we are at another phase, but it's still far from the maximum forward bend stage. Okay, and you can weight the head. So now you've got you're actually stamping your hands into the wall, stamping your feet into the wall, lengthening your legs, your spine, your arms, and dropping through the torso, head, arms, legs.